Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to today's video. If you guys don't know me, my name's Chris. I'm a creative entrepreneur here in Kansas City, Missouri. Back behind me, this is a brand I acquired, but I'm not gonna tell you about the brand today. It's a good example. Before you get one of these, what you need to do is establish this yourself. You need to establish yourself as a brand. Because if you're like, for instance, if you're a 1099 employee, you're a contract worker, which is really common, especially if you're like a digital nomad or whatever the heck you're doing, traveling the world. But if you're a 1099 employee, essentially you're saying, I'm taking all the taxes on, and the person you're working for only has to pay you. And that's why, number one, you should charge more for a 1099 employee because you don't have the healthcare benefits, you don't have the retirement fund, XYZ, right? Anywho, but if you establish yourself as a brand, so that means like in Missouri here, I gotta go to mo.biz.gov or something, right? I go to the state's website and I file to establish an LLC. And it costs like $120 to like $150. It takes like 5 minutes. And then from there, they give me articles, which is a really fancy way to say just like, I think 3 pieces of paper, 3 files, very short documents that said I established myself as a business. And I'm like, let's go. Whoa. So then I take it to the IRS website and I get an EIN number, which is essentially like a social security number for your business. So whenever you do anything business related, you can use your EIN. So it's not coming out of your personal social security number. I think that sounds weird. I don't know. I'm not an accountant. None of this should be taken as accounting advice. This is business advice. Anywho, back to it. So then if you're a 1099 employee and you're working and then you're having to take all the taxes, you can actually relieve yourself from all those taxes, because if you're a 1099 employee and you're an established business, then you're a contractor working for another business. Then what you do is you can write off your gas mileage, or your gas in general, or you can do your car payment. You can write off 50% of mills that you take clients out on, or you're talking about business. All your equipment is write off. So for me, that's like my camera, my lenses, my computer, my gimbal, my drone, my lights, my microphones, traveling, going to jobs. You see what I mean? Like everything I do is a write-off, because number one, I've built a really good personal brand. Number two, I think everything that my personal brand does is kind of eclectic media, which means like I get to write off a bunch of cool stuff. And then even like I get to take cool trips, because all my trips, like if you see my Costa, Bali, or even my year, if you've seen this video, check it out. It's my year 2024 video. It's sick. Like part of that stuff was write-offs, because it was essentially going out and filming marketing videos for myself. How cool, right? Or I was down and filming clients. And even this year, I'm doing a job in Tulum, and then I have another client coming in right behind that in Tulum. Like that trip's a write-off. You see how this works? It's almost like if you brand and establish yourself as a business, as an LLC, like you can start inviting a lot more perks in. The only thing I say that you need to do is make money or establish profits within 5 years. 5 years. You get 5 years to figure this out. And essentially, like, too, if you're, for instance, like, I think the safe way in on this entry is to be a 1099 employee. So let's say, for instance, I know a friend who works for another friend, and she 1099'd her, and this is what kind of sparked this video. And I was like, well, have you established yourself? Have you branded yourself? And she said no. And I'm like, do you realize how much money you're missing on tax breaks? And she's like, no. And I was like, well, you'll find out if you don't do it. And I was like, please, just do it. Like, it's super easy. So instead of teaching her, I thought I'd just make a video, because there's even like really cool apps here too. Like one of my favorite is called Hurdler. Let me see if I can find it. I'll spell it for you. It's Hurdlr. I'll put that in the bio below, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I'm trying to do minimal editing on this. But there, it's that guy right there in the green. Okay, back to me. So on this app, it essentially tracks all my mileage. And then and it also, that's why I forgot to mention this. You need your EIN too, because then you can link your business account to your business card. And then anything you swipe on this card, you can attach it to this app like Hurdler. And then it's tracking my gas mileage, how far I'm driving, and then I get to play a fun game and swipe left or swipe right, I would show you, but I don't want to edit this much in the video. And then anytime I make a bank transaction, it shows me, and then I get to pick personal or business. And then anytime an invoice comes in and pays me, it tracks it, and I can put personal or business. And then at the end of the year, which is now, and then my accountant's like, Chris, we need your taxes. I'm just like, boop, boop, boop. Send her the forms from Hurdler, and it's pretty much like done from me. All I have to do is go back to each transaction, and essentially put them in buckets. And it's so dope. But like where I'm getting at with this is like the average person can do this. So if you're a 1099 person, do this because you'll get tax breaks and you shouldn't have to pay taxes on the 30%, because essentially what you're doing is tracking your expenditures and costs that will take that 30% away, or whatever your tax bracket is. Pretty cool. And then beyond that, once you do that, then what I'd tell you to do is start playing with a brand like this. Like you can drop ship, you can do so many different stuff. And I almost feel like this should be a different video, but we'll touch on it very, very shortly on this video. It's like, for instance, think about this. So I've established myself as an entrepreneur and I've been a 1099 employee, a contract worker, and I haven't built my own thing. And then bam, I decided to acquire this brand behind me. And now I can grow both of these at the same time. So you got the influencer, which would be me, you got the brand, and we can build it. And then Ruka comes up and it's like, yo, we want to acquire your brand for $50 million. And I'm like, $50 million? Cool, let's do it. And if I hadn't established myself as an entrepreneur or as a separate entity, then they could take that away with the brand and they could say, well, you know, you've built your personal brand and this brand side by side, but we're taking both. Or, you know, I don't know if it would work like that. But essentially, like if you build yourself as an entrepreneur, anything you build, you can be the influencer for of that brand, sell it. Aubrey Marcus did this with On It, right? So he built On It. He was a marketer before, but he essentially built On It with Joe Rogan. They sold it for $260 million, or like it was an insane amount. And then most recently, yesterday on Instagram, I saw another ad for Aubrey's doing another company very similar to it with a caffeine byproduct with no crashes. Nailed it. But anywho, he's doing the same thing, but he's able to reciprocate it because he's established Aubrey Marcus as a brand, and then Aubrey Marcus built On It, sold On It. Now he's on this new thing called Kinetic or something, and he's going to build it and sell it. And then he's going to figure out another product that is helpful. You know, you see this cycle. It's so dope. But it all comes with like first just establishing yourself. Build a personal brand. Figure out what you're interested in. And then once you figure out what you're interested in, you should monetize it. The only reason you wouldn't monetize it is because you lack self-worth or self-confidence in what you're doing. Because everybody has stuff they're passionate about. My mom loves friggin' pink flamingos. I don't know why she hasn't set up a pink flamingo store, because she could get pink flamingos, she could pick the products, she could order her own stuff, she could save markups, and then she could also make margins off what she sells to other people who love pink flamingos. Like, all she has to do is brand herself, and this is a conversation I've had with her 1,000 times, and she hasn't done it. But I'm like, Mom, if you want to retire and make money before you retire, and then have money on top of your retirement when you're done, like, you should do this. You love it. And she's like, I just don't know how. And I'm like, it takes 5 minutes. So yeah, you guys get it. But essentially, like, number one thing I tell anybody to do is brand themselves. Figure out something they're passionate about and build in it. And if you're a 1099 employee or a contract worker, you should definitely brand yourself. Brand your business, call it like literally your name, so that you can start accruing tax write-offs, because then you're still getting the paychecks, but now you're finding reasons of money that you spend that takes away from the money that the government essentially writes off at the end of the year towards your taxes, and then you get to save money. But woo, that was a hard topic to cover, but thank you guys for watching this video. Be ready for the next one, and peace out, y'all.